Counselor Smith?
Here.
Counselor Gear?
I live in Homewood 55
Counselor
years, and I
Alomar?
didn't know that.
Counselor Sims?
We'll sit down again.
Yeah.
Counselor Andrews? Here. So you have one out.
Good, I'm glad you are.
All right,
So you have a quorum.
can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approval?
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Gear, second by Ms. Sanders, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 4-0. That's taken care of. Okay, since y'all are already up, I shouldn't have let y'all sit down, sorry. Y'all are already here, let's just do it and get it on with it. All right, so, 01/07/21, public hearing set for July 26, 2021 at 6 p.m. for consideration of a variance of the sign ordinance and permission to work in the right of way at Gatsby Court, North Shakespeare Terrace, Dale Smith, and our Gatsby neighbors. All right, so,
You must, sorry, stand back
other
in.
than being in the right of way, which is not permitted, and I did hear from Randy, Randy said that it is fine as long as it doesn't obstruct vision, sight distance, or cause a large vehicle not to be able to turn in, which I can't imagine a whole lot of people vehicles turn into.
True.
And it's been there.
Plus, yeah, it's a pretty big corner, so I don't think any of those things are gonna be factors, so I think we're good. So the question is the sign gonna be what it is now, or is it going to change?
It's gonna be the
Same
same sign.
It's gonna be
We
the
got-
exact same sign, just moving it several feet to the other
It is
direction.
preserved in a basement waiting on the installation right now.
We may paint it.
Yeah.
I get the sense that y'all are personally invested in this. It is living in one of your basements. Okay, so there's really no questions. The sign is exactly what it is. The only thing that we're deciding is whether we're going to allow them to put it in the right of way to get it off the water line, which basically means moving it, what, a foot or two?
Right.
Okay. There we
And,
go.
and it always has been in the right of way, is that
Yes,
correct?
yeah,
or-
correct. I was confused about that, and that's why I just asked Taylor.
Yeah.
It was always
Always.
in the right of way.
Yeah, right.
So it's the 1992 city council that screwed up.
Yeah.
That was before- somehow that was before Walter's time. We don't know how.
All right.
I do have a question for Mr. Kendrick or anyone on this, which is, if we're approving a sign that is prohibited, is that a variance that can be approved? We're not approving something, the dimensions of the sign or the lighting of the sign that's covered by the ordinance. We're permitting something that is prohibited, and can that be done through a variance process?
Kendrick, you got an opinion on
Y'all can make that call.
that? Okay.
To be honest with you, I didn't understand that these signs are prohibited, but they might be. I haven't looked at them.
I guess the way I look at it, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but a sign that is too large is prohibited as well. I get your point that there's a slight difference, but there's a prohibition. If we're considering a variance, we are considering a variance to something that is prohibited in some way.
Yeah, the sign ordinance provides for the variance process.
So there's a section in the sign ordinance that is prohibited signs, and number 10 says signs in the right of way except for
Sure.
these things.
So I will move to send out that recommendation.
Okay. Motion from Ms. Andrews,
Second.
second from Ms. Gear. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
4-0. So 6 o'clock on Monday night, at our public hearing. Y'all are welcome to come. We'll hold on to y'all's materials. You'll probably be asked to come forward with Dale.
To be next door to that.
Yeah, it'll be in
Right.
the
Okay.
chambers.
It's a big room.
Yeah, in the big room, exactly. All right. And otherwise, y'all are good to go.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
That's up, especially.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you,
that,
guys.
is there any benefit? I'm always wide my head.
I'll answer
All right, you're welcome. Okay, now I'm gonna jump back up to 17-10-15, request for consideration of noise and odor problems from Buffalo Rock and Mayfield Over. All I will say is they changed the carbon and I haven't had any calls in a long time. So there's that. Carry that over. 12-04-21, a request for consideration for use of the City Hall Plaza on a recurring basis for tournaments by Cornhole Beeham, a social cornhole league, John Pietrantoni, Cornhole Beeham, and Wyatt Mead. And here you are, come on up. know we've heard from you once on
Yes.
Zoom, so nice to meet you in person.
Absolutely, it's good to be here.
Just tell us a little bit, give us a refresher on what it is that you'll be doing and when.
Sure. So Cornhole Birmingham, or Cornhole BHM, is a social cornhole league in Birmingham. We started about a year ago. So the fall will be our fourth season. We do fall, spring, summer. So the fall will be our first renewal. It's social cornhole. It's not competitive cornhole. So there's no gambling. There's no split pod and all the things you hear about cornhole. It's a family run business. It's myself, my wife, and my twin boys. So what we've learned is anybody from age 18 to 75 years old plays cornhole. There's no athleticism required to play the game. And we create a buzz at local establishments. But we got a lot of requests for your space out front. And the 8 locations we have now, yours is completely different. You have a lot of things I wish I had a year ago when COVID hit. Yours ample space. I met with Wyatt out there and marked it off. It's 39 feet from, if you're throwing a bag to the opposite end of the person going a bag, there's 27 feet between the boards from front to front. Then you have 6 feet of board and you stand beside the board. There's enough space out there to run up to 16 teams, and you would be 10 feet apart between boards, if that makes sense. Or you have a ton of space. I know you know that.
Say that one more time. I want to make sure my cornholes.
So obviously the popular question. So I've learned a lot myself, sir. So it's 27 feet front to front.
Okay.
That's professional. That's commercial cornhole.
We did at the beginning.
Yeah. So
Okay,
great
thank you.
question. What we do for the beginner and for the beginners, we bring it to 24 feet. A little easier to hit the board. Games move a little faster. We've learned a lot too, but 27 feet front to front. So typically we like to do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday nights. You know, we're not going to get predicated upon that. What we see are husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, college friends, mother, daughter, father, son. We see all kinds of pairings. It's not limited. We've seen, it's been a lot of fun to do this, and it's been very rewarding for me and my family as far as teaching my sons about business. It's not about my wife and I. We're just trying to teach them how to deal with people, how to open a business, how to do an LLC, taxation, things of that nature. So it's been a lot of fun, and you have, I would think, the perfect location for lots of reasons. It's just not covered, so rain would be a problem.
Yeah. I was
Tonight
about to say,
we'd be
definitely
rained
not
out tonight.
covered. Yeah, for sure.
Except
And
for the
maybe this is our
diehards.
summer.
Yes.
Okay, so I know this would be starting for the fall season. When does that fall season
Great
begin?
question. So we like to do a 6-week season. We've learned a couple things. 5 weeks of regular season play. You play 4 games during those 4 games a week. So that'd be a 20-game season. And then the last week is a championship night. So we do a single elimination championship. When you lose, you go to the intermediate bracket, we call it, not the beginner bracket. So we have 2 champions the last night. So it's a 6-week season I put the week of September 27th to November 2nd,
Okay.
which is it never rains during the 6 weeks. Fall is perfect. Summer's been
From your
not
mouth-
fun.
Yeah, no.
It's not been fun. So it's a 6-week season, and those would be the ideal dates for us.
Okay, how do y'all register your teams? How do
Mhm.
y'all,
So
and
you go-
would you be able to tell us like how many?
Absolutely.
Team
Great
building.
question. So e-commerce, my sons have learned about e-commerce. So www.cornholebhm.com. We force everybody to register through our website
Okay.
because of e-commerce that way.
Okay,
And it's public. It's, you can go into the domain and see how many teams have registered,
Okay.
all of that. It's $50 to play. You get a t-shirt with that.
okay.
So it's not a huge profit maker, but it's fun.
And your marketing,
So great question. So we use Instagram, we've learned a lot about that, but it's free. So we promote through Instagram, and if we have a venue like Back 40 or On Tap Sports, they'll promote things. Here would be different because you don't have
Yeah.
a merchant. So here's what happens. So we typically start playing at 6 o'clock. People like to throw cornhole about 5 o'clock, so they get there about 5 o'clock to start warming up.
6 o'clock at night.
6 o'clock at night, yes, sir. So about 5 o'clock, they'll start showing up. So these venues, Soho, Zoe's, they're going to benefit because people are going to eat. So they're going to eat before and after is what I see. And typically we're cleaning up about 7:30. And then we'll have folks that want to stay and keep their own bags. So typically my sons will stay and let people continue to throw bags when their games are over.
Okay, so 6 to.
About
8.
7:30. Yeah, 8 o'clock, we're definitely gone by 8, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
If they come, you set up earlier though, right?
The boards will be set up by 5 o'clock. They'll start making their rounds that afternoon about 3:30, because they'll have 6 or, depending on what day you pick, they'll have several merchants to set up that night.
So
That day.
they could set up as early as 3:30 or 4.
They
Definitely
can,
not
but if
5.
you don't want them to set up before, if you want to set up at 4 to 5, it'll be 4 to 5, whatever. You have a little unique situation. Merchants don't mind as much if we're there early, but
Right.
this is unique.
So most of your other venues are like back 40 to.
Avondale, back 40,
Okay, yeah.
backyard leads.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The Harbor Brewery, those
So
are
this is the only
all,
public space that
yes,
y'all would be using.
which is unique and different.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sure, Alex.
One, is there enough light out there for you?
That's a great question. So in the summer, we're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So typically what we see in the fall, we sometimes we bump it up to 5:45. We do have lights though. We have portable lights that we bring if it becomes an issue.
All right, and I assume those wouldn't interfere with the business or people sitting outside trying, making it uncomfortable for them to sit
Yeah,
there.
it makes it more uncomfortable for the players because they're so bright. Those portable we buy from Home Depot, the big portable LED lights. We have to push them down. We actually push them down, not up, just to push down on the lights.
And that would be my only concern.
Yeah, I get
If
it.
you're
No, I
not
get it. I haven't
disturbing
really,
People sitting out
yeah.
eating.
Hopefully it would not. Hopefully it would be done. It'd be okay.
And then secondly, you talked about sort of a range of possibilities or what the season is. How would we determine what nights you were gonna be here and when would we know what those nights were?
And it's only one night a week, right?
It is.
It's only one night a week.
So do we just, is it the same night every week?
For 6 weeks, the same night. So you're different. You're not a merchant. Our pitch to them is we want to bring traffic in on a slow night. So a Tuesday night or a Monday night could be a slow night. Some don't have any slow nights. For you, if that's not going to have any bearing. So unless Soho wants you or Soways wants you. So we like Tuesday, Wednesdays for operations. It makes it easier for me, but you have such a great location. I think it's really going to do well if we're fortunate enough for you to allow us to do it. You pick a night and make it happen. Except for the weekend. We don't like to operationalize on the weekends.
Okay, so do you have a maximum number of teams?
No, I was just gonna ask, so if I'm with my family
Yes.
and I'm over at Soho Social and they tell me it's an hour and a half wait, could I go over and register or would I need to get on the website to do that?
That's a great question. We try to push everybody to the website, but we've accepted registration via Venmo and all the things that people do now, but we make it easy. We don't want to make it hard. So the day of, we certainly have walk-ups the day of. It just makes it a little challenging because we like the teams to be even. We don't like anybody sitting. So we like to keep the teams even. If you have 10 teams or 12 teams, everybody's playing at the same time as opposed to you waiting to play because you have to sit out. But it never works perfect that way, but that's ideal how we like to do it. Somebody doesn't show up or we like to have.
a max number that you could do?
Great question. So with COVID and the new strand coming out, we'll go by any guidelines you want us to go to. We would like to have a minimum of 8 teams, because you like to have folks to engage with folks. So 8's kind of a good number as a starting point. A good league would be between 12 and 20. But if you don't want to push, you certainly have the space for 40 teams out there. My goodness, you have plenty of space. It just depends on where you want to restrict the space to and what limitations you want to put on school one or anything. I just ask you give us at least 8.
Yeah.
It makes it worth our while to set it up.
All right, does anybody else have any other questions?
Just,
Yes.
we're only asking for, we're only committing to one season.
I would think so, yes. I mean, just,
See how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
that's fair. That's a great question. Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Yes, hold on, John, Mike has a question.
Well, I have a bunch of questions.
Or a bunch of
Have
questions.
lease, and we need to find the area that's releasing, whatever the consideration is, we have to have insurance, city name is in the times that you can use the property, what your property can use, and probably the season we can find that. All those things have to be worked into some kind of written agreement.
All right, the season, I can tell you that day, because he already said,
I get
September,
that.
oh, you got that, okay, and then, you said you and Wyatt kind of,
We
Sketched it
marked
out.
it off, yeah. So my question is, sir, do you have a template rental agreement, or do you want me to provide?
Well, I don't have one.
we can provide and we're insured. So
Okay.
those are two
If you
things
have
we
a
can.
crimson,
Yeah, we can take a shot at it, sure.
Okay, okay, all right. Now, John.
How do we deal with alcohol? I mean,
They don't sell alcohol.
We can't sell, I mean.
no,
they
I
don't
know,
sell-
I'm saying people are gonna go over there and at
That's
Soho
up to the
Social.
ABC licensing.
Okay.
They can't leave it.
Person that sells it.
Yeah, that's.
We're all
that's up
right,
to- that's
never
up to
mind,
the
just,
Salespeople.
My understanding would be, I don't think folks that are having a cocktail at Soho would have to stay in Soho would be my guess.
Yes, yeah, I think that's what the
ABC
ABC,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
that-
good. Yeah, that's not what we're promoting at all.
Yeah.
Does happen at other locations. I know where you're going with that.
Well, yeah, because your other locations are back 40.
A lot of them are breweries, yeah.
Where people are.
Yeah, it's
Three,
easier,
yeah.
so.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a wonderful use of our space and I think it's good for downtown. I think I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think it's addressing an issue that we hear a lot, like the unused space in front of the plaza, which is already coming to life, like you said, sort of in a post-COVID world. And I think it's exciting and I will move to approve.
Okay, motion from Ms. Anders to approve. Can I get a second?
You sue me this night.
So who do I send the rental agreement to? And
To
all?
Mike.
To Mike.
Yeah.
Yes,
and you
sir.
hit-
I'd
Okay,
love to.
can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Gear.
Like that right there.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed?
Thank y'all very much.
All right.
It's an honor to, I think,
Okay, so
you
this
will not be
is 4-0.
disappointed if we can pull this off.
Okay, and so this will be for final approval by the full council next Monday night, the 26th.
As long as I get everything.
And
right.
yes.
As soon as he gets. it.
Yeah.
Yes, as soon as you
Yeah.
get things.
I owe him
yeah.
some
Who
things.
will
Yes.
be working on it?
Okay,
Fair
awesome.
enough.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the Boy Scout idea of leave no trace?
No, I'm not.
That means when you leave, no one knows you were ever there. I would tell you that,
That's a
do
good
the
thing
best you
doing here
can.
too, yeah.
yeah, so
Fair enough.
if the next day our folks come out and have to clean up and all that, I know y'all said y'all do that, just appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I put a lot of value on my twin boys. I think they won't disappoint you. It will be as clean as when it started.
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
those restaurants are gonna love you.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay,
Monday night.
all right, now, 09/06/21, public hearing set for July 26, 2021, 6 p.m. to consider various sign ordinance at 2611 18th Place South, Robertson, Banky, Kell Smith, and Sane and Associates. Hello again.
Oh, gosh. Rusty, you don't have to get up at all, do you?
Well, I'm making sure they get.
Yeah.
All right, so we know we've discussed this in some detail last week, but let's get back to it. Oh, yes.
Do you want me to,
Yeah, go
you want me
ahead.
to tell you
Yeah.
what we
What all
found?
they're asking.
Right, so, and Dave's here too. He's with the Fravor signs.
Everybody.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Good to see everybody.
See you.
So I guess this committee is going to talk about items 1 through 6.
Yes.
So the monument sign are the first 3. So the first one, the monument sign is located in District 2. District 2 doesn't allow monument signs.
Okay.
All right, there's a map included in the packet on the 3rd sheet of the
You got
district.
fire says, did you sign in?
I can.
The monument sign is located in the right of way, and then the size of the monument sign, I didn't know how to address this, but if the district of the site was 1 or 3, the maximum height of a monument sign that would have been allowed would have been 6 by 5 foot width, and this proposal is for 8.5 foot width.
So it's,
So
Too
it's
wide.
for-
it's not just a variance for where it's located, it's a variance because it's too big as well.
Well, but actually, I guess.
One
But
of the
it's really
dimensions,
technically not,
It's not allowed
there's
at
no,
all, right?
there's not allowed at all, so there's really no dimensions that are allowed. But
That's right.
if we were to put it somewhere else where it was allowed, it's
In
too big.
district, if we were in District 1 or 3, then
Yeah.
we would start, yeah.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
Number 4 is the illumination of the monument sign. So in districts 1 and 3, external illumination is all that is allowed, so internal is not allowed.
and so they are proposing
They're-
this to be internally eliminated.
That's exactly right.
Wow, we're asking for.
I
lots of-
know.
Woo!
Number 5 is the number of wall signs. In the district, only 1 per storefront is allowed. So on this site plan, we're considering the west side as the storefront, which is kind of the front door that you walk in. They're proposing one on Rosedale Drive, a wall sign on Rosedale Drive. So that's 2. And then number 6 is how they're illuminated, which is internal illumination, and they can only, according to the sign ordinance, they're only allowed to be illuminated externally. And that's it.
I would start off by saying,
Mhm.
there's a lot of requests for variances. A lot.
Well, I think that when I start talking about the nature of why we arrived at these and why we're asking, it'll start to make sense. And yes, I
I get.
I
because I know
totally
what-
agree with you. It's a
yeah,
lot.
It's a lot, and I
But
think,
we're taking it out of context, and I think that if you look at the nature of the request, you might see, let me get into it, and I can certainly explain logically every request. I guess the first item that Cal, thanks for all your help this week. Great, really appreciate the guidance. The sign being the fact that it's prohibited. So we're hopefully potentially past the fact that it's in the right of way. So moving on to whether or not we should have one, period, as presented. Basically, as a retail business, and with the clients and customers that visit Robertson Bank, I would say the majority of them coming in from Rosedale, whether it be from the 280 Mountain Brook area or even from from Homewood, from 18th Street. You have that monument sign sitting perpendicular to Rosedale, gives you that anticipatory visibility, gives you time to react and say, hey, there's a bank, I need to go in and conduct some business, get some money, whatever. It is a retail business. It's not just a buy appointment only type business. And so to have that time to react and make a decision to turn into the property, that's really the reason any business has a sign perpendicular to the street. It's the same reason why BP has one. It's the same reason why Service First has one, which I understand they're not a different district. In fact, I was questioning whether they were in Homewood, but I know they are. So the same principles as to why they have signs that sit perpendicular to or a sign of some sort sitting perpendicular to the street. As to the, we talked about the right of way, the size of the monument sign. So if we say size, we're within square footage. You're allowed to have a 30 square foot sign at 12-inch tall maximum characters per the city of Homewood ordinance. We are satisfying all those requirements. The width of the sign is 8 foot versus the allowable 5. At 5, right now, the character size at 8 foot wide yields a letter size. And if you look at your drawings, you'll see that they're fairly small. The word Robertson is 12 inches tall.
Word Robertson's long.
It's long, and you bring up an excellent point. So you look at the size of the sign, you look at the nature of the logo and the orientation of the logo. That's how we arrived at 8 foot, is to accommodate a letter size that's appropriately visible from the road. People frankly traveling probably between 30 and 40 miles an hour. So if you were to make that sign, I did some calculations as I was sitting down. If we make that sign 5 foot wide, which is what the ordinance allows, that basically yields letter character sizes of not 12, but 7.5 inches tall for the word Robertson, and then roughly 3 inches for banking company and roughly 2 inches for the established 18.7. So we're trying to not have the letters be that big. We want them to be visible enough to be read from the road. The sign doesn't sit right on the curb. It does sit back. It still, even though we're on the right of way, it still sits back from the road a good bit. And we need that visibility. We don't need people squinting, struggling to read the sign. So the square footage of the sign is within code. It's 30. We're allowed 30. The height of the characters is within code as well. It's the width that's the issue. So when we say size, that's specifically the problem. The issue we have is a 3 foot width variance is what we need for that sign. The illumination of the monument sign. So ordinance said we can only have external illumination of the sign. Well, in light of the right-of-way issues, my logic here is that by internally lighting the sign, a couple things. By internally lighting the sign, we're reducing the amount of work needed in the right-of-way. To put a ground-mounted light fixture, you basically put it within a few feet on either side of the sign, which is just more work needed to be done in the right-of-way. We're trying to minimize that infringement. And so by internally lighting the sign, we've got one electrical connection rather than 2 that are spread apart by, I would say, somewhere between 5 and 7 feet. on either side of the monument sign. The illumination of the sign is minimal, meaning the letters are actually, the face of the letters are opaque. We're not talking about major light pollution of any kind here, not that you would see with like a cabinet sign, what we call in the business, with a white background, and the whole thing lights right up, and it's blast light out to the public. We're talking about only the letters that light up, and not only just the letters stand off the face of the sign. That leaves about a 1-inch return, meaning only light comes out the edges of those letters. So the illumination is minimal, and by lighting the sign internally this way, we're reducing the amount of light pollution in the area, and it's a subtle, it's a more understated look for the sign. It's visible because you're always looking at it at some sort of angle. You're always going to get that illumination, but it is internally lighted versus externally lighted. But again, not as light, not as much light, not as intense light as something that would be made with a hand-formed polycarbonate face, acrylic face that you see in so many retail scenarios in the area. So I think that's about all the variances we're asking for on the monument sign. Number of wall signs, if we can jump to that. So number of wall signs. So code allows one sign over the storefront not to exceed, I believe it's 3 square feet per linear foot, not to exceed a maximum of 90% of the linear width of the building. The linear width of the building is 68, 90% of which is about 61 times 3 is about 1/8. Okay, 1/8. We have 2 signs at 20 square feet. We're asking for 40 square feet of signs on 180 square feet of allowance. So, I'm looking at 2 at 40 versus 1 at 80 as ultimately a much lesser amount of signage than if I were to do one sign at 180 square feet, which we all know we're not going to touch that number. It's a small building, but we do have road frontage on facing Rosedale, and then we have the customer entrance on the adjacent side. We need signage on that adjacent side. We need to gravitate people towards that entrance once they're on the property. And then being that we are the adjacent side is fronting Rosedale, we wanted to put a sign there as well to create more presence and really more balance to the building as well. So in terms of branding. So again, 2 20 square foot signs versus 1 sign at what could be 180 square feet. Now, I'm rounding down. I'm rounding those numbers down. I think the last order of business here regarding sign variances is the illumination of the wall signs. So external illumination, I take that to mean some sort of like gooseneck fixture, something that would go over, maybe perhaps under the sign. The reason we're proposing internally lighted signage, and by the way, it's just the word Robertson. Banking company is too small to light up. The letters are too small to internally light, put LEDs in and light. So the word Robertson would only light up. This is the exact same scenario as ABX, Audiovisual, and JH Berry Risk Management. Both, I think they're signed district 2 companies there at the adjacent side of the business, which I know that their signs predate the current ordinance. I fully understand that, but it's the same exact type of scenario where the letters are not just lit, but they're also reverse lighted. So the illumination is again minimal. You have the halo effect around each letter, not letters, not light blasting through an acrylic face, screaming strip mall, basically. That's not what we're going for. The area where one of the 2 sets of letters is going, which is over the storefront, if you look at the elevation drawing, you will see it's minimal space over those doors. And in order to put some sort of external light fixture over them would require to shrink the sign down even further to what it is now. They're already very small signs. And a gooseneck fixture or some sort of light fixture to go above it would require that there be probably more space over that transom over the door, and A, and B, that the signage gets smaller. And don't forget too, there has to be a little bit of gap between the gooseneck mounting and the letter itself. So where we have it right now, the sign is already small. And that's why if we want the nighttime visibility, it would make more sense to have it be the size that it's at in internal lighting. Again, just the word Robertson versus further shrinking down the size of the sign and trying to put a light fixture above it, which, to be honest, we didn't even explore that as an option because there's not enough space to accommodate both a fixture and a set of letters.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're doing a lit monument sign, which is very large, in the right of way,
The 30 square foot one?
the one that's in the right of way,
Yeah.
yes. Why do you also need a lit sign on the wall? Because first of all, there's not a door there. So what are you leading them to?
Well, for the sign that's facing Rosedale, we have a space, we have a wall there, we have a presence there. It's facing, even though the door, even though the door is not there, we have a opportunity to put a sign there. It is.
You have an opportunity to put this on there if we get variances, because it's not allowed.
Well, I'm talking about, physically, where there's not.
Yes, I know there's a space to put a sign, yes, got it.
Okay, so, the sign being placed there would help supplement any sort of visibility that you have from Rosedale. So whereas the monument sign is sitting perpendicular to Rosedale, and you get the anticipatory visibility as you drive east and west.
I don't see how a sign on a wall off the road is making it easier for people to see when there's a.
I thought the whole point of the monument sign was that no one would see
Right.
what the
You're
sign on the
basically-
building.
Yes, the reasoning there I'm not exactly getting, because if the whole point of the monument sign is to catch the attention of the people who are driving on Rosedale Drive,
Because they're not gonna see it on.
because they're not gonna see it on the building, they're gonna see the monument sign first.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying, and these were, this is a sign package that we put together some time ago, and I don't know that, the context of the roads relative to where the signs were going was 100% clear to me at the time, but I mean, I would defer to my team, if we're looking for the visibility of the sign off of Rosedale. I mean, I don't disagree that the monument sign has more value. I would again, think that we could probably live with one versus two, but I mean, I think in terms of the balance, like I say, you've got the two adjacent sides, and they're both two very small signs. They both at a fraction of what's allowed, less than 30%. I thought maybe that would be some sort of bargaining chip with the special issues committee.
Okay. Yeah, Alex has a question. Sure.
I think make sure I'm not missing something. With the exception of Service First, that is off the road, and that you have to turn to figure out where to turn, how to get up there. Is there anything else on any of those other businesses on Rosedale Drive have a monument sign?
Does the physical therapy place that used to be the kickboxing gym?
I can't think of one, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing.
I can't remember. Does that, John, do you know?
They don't, no, they've got a sign on the building.
It's on their building. Okay. I was thinking there was something out there.
What's that address?
It's got the two existing ones, Service First.
You got Service First, you got Southbridge, and
Right.
because
those are-
because that's a different situation. In my mind, that's a different situation. You got to turn, that's the road to lead up there. But none of those other businesses on Rosedale, I think, have a monument sign.
Possibly.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think we've gotten a request for any monument signs along Rosedale before, not that I can remember at least.
Well, I think
I don't know that the visibility issue hasn't really hurt other businesses, I guess is my point.
Well, then my other question was, this is just me musing, but a monument sign that is lit when the bank's not open, because banks aren't open at night. So what is the need for an illuminated sign when the bill's business?
They just call it what it is. All of this is brand. I mean, you're wanting
visibility, but you're also wanting branding. So if I'm driving by at 10 o'clock at night, I want to think, well, I need to check out that back.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you've got a sign, it's the same as any other business that closes at 5 but has a lighted sign on their building. I mean, how many hundreds of businesses have you seen?
Here's Service First sign,
I have a question, please.
right here.
Do we have to vote on, how do we vote on all of these? Is it individually or is this all a big package?
We can, the motion, well, first of all, the motion tonight is going to be to send it out without recommendation pending public hearing, because we're not going to make a final decision until we have the public hearing on Monday night. But on Monday night, a motion could be made to approve some, none, or all. A motion does not have to be made you don't have to make a motion to approve everything. You could say, we approve the monument sign and the sign over the door. We approve the 2 signs on the building and not the monument sign. So a motion can be made on Monday night in any of those ways. Some, none, all.
And is there any reason to talk tonight about what we would
No,
be? Okay,
because we need to wait until that public hearing happens.
okay.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
I know you're coming from the sign perspective, but I mean, I want to hear from the bank in terms of why they feel like they need it. I mean, are you here to speak from the bank?
Well, we're the engineers.
Well, I'd like to hear somebody from the bank that is requesting this, so I can understand what the strategy is for needing. Not just, I understand the visibility and all that, but I'd like to know from a strategic standpoint, from the bank's perspective, why is it needed? Why are the additional signs needed? Nobody's here from the bank.
Yeah, I'm the architect.
Well, everybody's.
So the guy that runs it, Whit Bird, actually lives in Edgewood.
I mean, I just think it'd
So
be
he-
helpful next week to maybe tell your client,
I think,
it's gonna help me for them to be here and not just have all of you speak on their behalf. I'd like to understand their thoughts. That's all I'm saying.
Would be nice.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
just looking at all this.
Make a motion to send out without recommendation pending public hearing.
All right, motion made by Ms. Andrews,
Second.
second from Mr. Sims. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I would, we'll hold on to all of the materials here for Monday night. I think having Mr. Bird and his son was actually on the freshman soccer team, so I have his email address. So I'll
And I can
reach out
text
to
him.
him. You can see him.
That's the other monument sign that's there. It tells you who all's in that building, how they got, that building's actually, that Southbridge building's in the city of Birmingham. It is, barely,
I feel like I'm giving
just
my
on the edge.
folder back into the teacher so I don't lose my.
Thank you, thank you.
No, good. 0207.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry, we have one more item.
Thank you.
020721, public hearing set for July 26, 2021 at 6 p.m. Request for a public hearing to permit 2 internally illuminated wall signs at 1944 28th Avenue South, St. Vincent's Urgent Care, Carl Hall, Strab add signs, Mr. Pugh.
Are you all see me?
Hi, thank you.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Excuse me.
Hello.
Excuse me.
Wyatt.
They're going to be asking for 2 sign variances. This is for the St. Vincent's Urgent Care. They're rebranding as Ascension. The 2 variances are created by the new sign ordinance, the updated sign ordinance.
Oh, so their original signs were erected before the new ordinance was put into place.
That's right.
Okay.
So the sign, let's just take them one at a time. The sign on the front that they have now is a channel letter, internally lighted channel letter sign. The new sign, as you can see to the right there, the proposed sign, what it's going to look like, it would meet the size requirements, but the updated sign ordinance, section 5158 2F, illuminated signs are permitted to be illuminated by an external source. So internally lighted channel letters are no longer permitted in District 3.
Okay, so the new sign will just be on the face front and it will not be lighted.
Well, that's one of the variances that they're asking for. They want another channel
Okay, they
letter
do want the
sign, a
okay,
brand
okay.
new channel letter sign
Got
that
it.
says Ascension St. Vincent's Urgent Care.
Oh, okay.
The second sign variance is the two on the bottom, and if you were to walk around to the right of the building, this is what you'd see, St. Vincent's Urgent Care. They're wanting to change it to this urgent care sign. Well, the way the sign ordinance reads now is one per storefront. This is not a storefront. This is a side. There's no door over there. It's just windows. So we're asking for two internally lighted channel letter signs.
And just for that, actually, wait, that's, I thought that side, the side one, does that not, that faces 31, doesn't it? Well, I mean,
Faces
it's that weird little street, but,
20th Street South is
faces
actually
31,
where it is.
actually.
Mhm. I can see why they would want it,
oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
Or is that
It's just
considered a
not.
second sign then? That is considered
It
a
is.
second
Would be
sign.
considered.
Okay, so that's the other variance.
All right, so it's number and illumination. Okay, all right. And it's, again, let me just point this out. When they originally put the signs up, it was fine.
Yes.
And then we changed the ordinance rendering their signs not compliant, and now that they're rebranding, they have to change the signs.
That's right.
But they want to keep the number and type of signs they have.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly. Thank you. I couldn't have said it. I've seen, I'm not gonna explain this.
Just here,
Perfect.
just to hear to help
Just
me out.
exactly what I want to say. Thank you. It's a
Okay,
rebrand is what it is. That's what has triggered this move.
okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Mr.
Yes, honey.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
All right, thank you.
Maybe this isn't the right time to ask it. Is there a reason urgent care has to be so big on the proposed?
It's urgent.
It's an emergency.
You know, that would be for the marketing team from Ascension,
Okay.
but all these directions comes right from Ascension. Travis Signs is not making the signs. We are the contract installer
And
for
is
these.
that,
So that's
is
why
that
we're asking.
size within, and that's within our,
Well,
the letters?
Is that the actual?
there's
or-
two ways.
I think that's just a.
That's a
render
scale.
it.
That's a scale of it, though.
Okay,
That is the scale of it,
There
yes.
are two ways to answer that. One is, there is no size guideline because it's not permitted.
right.
Oh,
But
the
If
second
this
one is.
were the front of the building, that side of the building is really long, so that would be,
Oh, so it has to do.
that would be,
Okay.
if it were.
If it were allowed, it would be within
It would, yeah.
the
It's
size.
just the second sign.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it's a second sign. And it is going to be red.
Yes.
That feels a little, yeah. So, no.
In your face.
Any way you could convince them maybe a different color might be better?
Probably not.
Okay.
Sorry. Ascension's been a great company to work for. I've done a lot of installs through
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you said you're just installing the sign, you're
yeah,
not
through
making the
Architectural
sign.
Graphics is the manufacturer of the
Okay.
signs.
Okay.
They're out of Knoxville, but I worked real close with them over the last 6 months, and Ascension pretty much says, this is what we want, and that's it. But, you know, it would have to be, we'd have to get them in here to answer your questions as you did with the previous group, if you wanted to get somebody in here to talk to you about it.
Okay.
Do they have their name on any sort of bigger sign in this little strip?
I
or-
don't think there is a central sign on that side. I think every building has its own signage.
A tenant.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
not
there's
see a
not, I
tenant
think there
sign
is one on the
anywhere.
other, is there one on the
I
other
was gonna
side?
drive by
There's one
there,
on the other side.
except the rain was coming down way too hard when I got
Yeah.
here, so I apologize. I
Yeah.
would have tried,
Okay.
I wanted to put my eyes on it first. so I
Right.
could get a
Yeah, no,
feel for
there's
it.
not, there's a sign
Okay.
on the other side where the
Okay.
TCBY is, there is a group sign, but there's not one on that one.
Okay.
I have a question as it relates to the lighting of the sign. This just goes back to the prior request as well, but really for the policy and the best practice. We allow external illumination, but not internal in the sign ordinance. What is the guidance on why external is the best practice versus allowing internal, which seems to be commonly requested? Does that make
In
sense?
other words, why was the ordinance? written
Why does the ordinance say
Why
external is okay and internal is?
I think
is basically-
internal is cheaper and like a strip mall. It's like, he said it himself. I mean, the lit up fluorescent light versus something, you know, a charming little light, flat, you know, lighting
I
down
think it's about
onto a light.
aesthetics as
Yes,
opposed to,
exactly.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's purely aesthetic. It just looks
An
nice.
argument could be made the other way, though. For clean, more modern buildings, you wouldn't want those sort of things. I mean, if we're talking about a building built in the 30s or 40s, but
I think there might have also been a question of if you have internal lighting, if you can do internal lighting, then you probably are gonna wanna do it. When you do a sign, why not go ahead and do internal lighting? If you have external, and it's, for example, a bank that is not open during the day, well, now why deal with the external lighting that's gonna, it's a little bit more.
And are both of these signs requested to be internally lit? Both of them?
Yes, yes, they are. Yeah, from the sign viewpoint, or from the sign manufacturer's viewpoint, internally lit signs are more visible than externally lit signs. I mean, I do gooseneck lighting signs, and I love them. I think they're great. And in downtown, I'm from Huntsville, but downtown Huntsville, we're doing a lot of internally lit signs downtown because your viewing audience is close. You know, they can almost reach up and touch a lot of the signs, and that's really where it works. But when you're from a distance, you're 100 foot away plus, you really don't see an externally lit sign that well.
Yeah.
That well, it's not. And these signs, you said something about the size of them. 24-inch tall. We have a little chart. 24-inch tall sign, or excuse me, letter. The optimal viewing point is 200 foot away. And if you said something about this really faces 31. And so they're trying to get the people that are out there on the
Right, the
the
traffic.
high traffic areas saying, hey, there's urgent care. I need to get to that area.
I will say, I thought that looked nice, the halo lighting, I did think that looked nice. This is the, you know, in like what you're talking about, the acrylic light with the light coming through all the way through, I think that's what we were talking about. I did think that halo lighting looked nice.
Yeah, I love halo light.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are not, they do, Ascension does a lot of halo lights in there, some of the
But these are
rebrand
not.
stuff. I don't think these are.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was kind of related to this too, especially with this urgent care graphic specifically. You say it's to scale, but I think it'd definitely be good to have more information specifically on how that is to be lit and the size of the letters, to really know exactly.
And those are channel letters as well that are gonna be affixed to the building.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they're affixed to a raceway,
Oh, okay, yeah,
Which
the
is
strip
a
behind.
strip that goes on it. And, you know, I've got the brand book here, and I thought maybe I could answer a question. I apologize. I cannot. I don't have. Well, here they are. Yeah, 20 inches high.
20.
That's what those are. And it's from left to right. It's 15 foot urgent care left to right.
Yeah, I can't do that math in my head.
So that's 180 inches.
There you go. Thank you.
Sure.
And I think, if I'm remembering correctly from Mr. Freeber, I'm pretty sure that 180 inches is what is allowed, if it was allowed. If it was the front sign, 180 inches is what is that right? Am I right about that?
There's a calculation.
Yeah, I know there's some sort of, based on the size of the building and the.
Yeah.
Okay,
3 square feet per every linear foot of the side of the building, up to 90%. That side of the building just,
It's
why
really
is
long.
80 feet long.
oh, okay, yeah.
So
It's very
So-
long.
If it was allowed, it would actually fit within the
it
size.
would, yeah.
All right, okay,
I'll move to send out without recommendation and in public hearing.
all right. Motion for
Second.
Cassandra, second for Mr. Sims. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that is 4-0. Yeah, 4-0. And so, public hearing,
Monday night.
Monday night at
6
6 o'clock,
Big
next
room.
door. Yes, correct.
Got it. Do you want somebody from Ascension here?
If they
Is
could
that-
be here, yes, that'd be awesome, because it's always nice to actually be able to speak to, I know they, I understand why you're here, but, you're just the guy
Nice
putting
to
the
talk to
sign,
the
so if they
decision
want.
maker about
Yeah,
this
yeah,
sign.
yeah. So if we had to say, hey, guys, would you be consider, then they.
I know I had a gentleman from architectural graphics. No, I can't be next week. So I'll see if he can line up somebody for Ascension. I
Okay,
would do
awesome.
that.
That'd be great. Thank you so very much for being here.
My pleasure, y'all. Thank y'all very much.
We
Appreciate it.
are
Thanks so much.
adjourned.